This is now the fourth day of the Congress, and I'm delighted to have today at the recap Maurice Friedman and Wolfgang Griesold. Maurice, do you want to give a short introduction to yourself as well?
Yes, I'm Maurice Friedman. I'm a neurologist from Canada. I work in Toronto. I'm a neurologist at the University of Toronto and Baycrest Health Sciences, and I'm a trustee of the World Federation of Neurology.
And Wolfgang?
Thank you. My name is Wolfgang Griesold. I'm an Austrian neurologist. I've been the Secretary General of the World Federation, or I am, and will be the current president from the next year onwards. Thank you.
Thank you. So Maurice, which session did you attend, and would you like to recommend for on-demand viewing?
I attended a teaching course on dementia. It was an excellent. I'd be happy to give a recap of. Would you like me to start?
Yes, please do.
Yes, so this was an excellent session. The moderator was Dag Arslan. The first talk was by Ralph Sacco on vascular cognitive impairment. He gave a very clear definition of vascular impairment, and it's a definition that is not well understood by all. The point is that vascular cognitive impairment, this term, encompasses all cognitive disorders associated with cerebral vascular disease. So he made the point that vascular cognitive impairment ranges all the way from very mild vascular cognitive impairment to vascular dementia. And he also covered the concept of prodromal vascular cognitive impairment. In addition, he discussed risk factors for this disorder, as well as the benefits of physical activity, and also reducing and managing cardiovascular risk factors in relation to vascular cognitive impairment. The next talk was by Mia Kipivelto. She spoke on risk factors and prevention of dementia. She discussed the risk factors for dementia, and she emphasized those that are modifiable. And she also spoke about new risk factors, and these include loneliness, hopelessness, stress, sleep deprivation, and impaired oral health. And she also made the very interesting point that with respect to sleep, too little or too much sleep can increase the risk for dementia. And she made the point that dementia can be delayed by modifying risk factors. Dag Arslan spoke about management of behavioral symptoms in dementia. He discussed the causes of the behavioral and psychological symptoms of dementia. He discussed the pharmacological and non-pharmacological approaches to treatment. And he mentioned the very important role of pain in behavioral and psychological symptoms of dementia, and how treatment of pain may improve these symptoms. This was an excellent session, and I highly recommend that people watch this on demand.
Thank you, Maurice. So it made me very curious, what is too much sleep and what is too few sleep? How much should I sleep?
You'll have to watch the video on demand to get the answer to that.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. So which session will you be visiting tomorrow? What would you recommend to our audience?
I have to take a look at the schedule, and it's too soon for me to give a recommendation.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks, Maurice. So we'll switch to Wolfgang Griesold. Which session did you visit today? What would you recommend for on-demand viewing?
Yes, thank you very much. I think there were two things I want to mention. One is a session in a teaching course on child neurology that was called Autoimmune Movement Disorders in Children, and was given by Dr. Dale from Australia. And it was a fascinating session which brought us more informed about autoimmune diseases in children. When I was trained, we had Sydenham's chorea, and that was it. And obviously there is ample knowledge about the Oxyclonus syndrome that he mentioned and explained it, also showed a beautiful video. And he also discussed the NMDR antibody encephalitis, which interests me as a particular point of view because I'm quite interested in autoimmune and paraneoplastic neurological disease. And it's fascinated that by now he had a series he quoted of 1,500 cases, which is difficult to imagine because it's such a rare disease, but obviously they see it more often. There was also a paper mentioning of him of a basal ganglia encephalitis that was caused by an anti-dopamine 2 receptor antibody that could be detected in some children. And he also showed a beautiful image of the brain with the lighting up of the basal ganglia. And I think that's also a very interesting concept. And I'm curious to see if this concept can also be found in adult neurology. So I think I highly recommended the session to talk about these important issues of autoimmune and diseases in children, which I also was not aware of, but I think we could learn a lot here from pediatricians. The second session, if I just may say, I have a second session I would like to advertise. The second session was a brain health webinar that's also available now all the time. And this was a webinar that discusses brain health. And as you know, under the presidency of Professor Carroll, we took up brain health. And if you look at our website, you will see so far 4 modules on brain health, which are now 5 modules. And the 5th module is on the role and importance of neurologists for advocacy for neurologic patients. And we had 3 prominent guests to discuss that. One was Augustine Sharaway-Felly, who kind of brought input from Africa and from low-income countries. Then there was a statement on advocacy from Alan Roper, one of the doyens of the North American neurological scene. And there was also an excellent statement from David Dodik, who is an expert also on advocacy in headache. And the 3 of them gave some insight into the importance of advocacy and why neurologists, not only neurologists, why everyone should be interested in brain health. Thank you, Ivan.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Just a short recap from my side. I had been visiting a number of sessions. One was an extremely interesting talk by Marianne de Visser, and I want to highlight one session today on dementia in non-Alzheimer dementing disorders. And this was a session with Dag Asland, Jolande Bienenberg, and Henrik Zetterberg. And it was discussing Lewy body disease, frontotemporal dementia, and biomarkers. And it's interesting that in frontotemporal dementia, there is still no biomarker, but there are quite some phenotypes which are very divergent. And some of those phenotypes have psychiatric phase before the actual dementia starts. So it's important also to look for psychiatric diseases, and that's a link that is very interesting and was very well presented today. I want to ask you, Wolfgang, what session will you attend tomorrow? But I think I can guess a little bit what you will be doing tomorrow. There will be a long session.
Well, yes, we will have a long session on advocacy in neurology. And we will try to point out and highlight from many perspectives what is so important about advocacy, who should be advocated for, what are the obstacles. And I just want to remind that these advocacy courses have always been done jointly with the American Academy, with the pedagogy courses, which are a good template to follow in regard to advocacy and to leadership. And most of us, I see Walter here also as a graduate from that course, have learned a lot, and we want to bring it into our audience. So I invite you for that course. I also invite you to ask questions and participate. And I have another suggestion, a short one. There is one session hopefully I will not miss, that will be about infections of the peripheral nerve, which is important in regard to the COVID pandemic. And the speakers of that session will be Eva Feldman from Michigan and Max Damian from Cambridge, who are experts in peripheral nerve disease. And Max Damian, who is also part of the WHO group on late COVID neurovascular diseases. So I suppose this will be very interesting and up-to-date lecture to follow too. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have the honor to join tomorrow as well, the advocacy session, and I warmly recommend that to our audience. In the morning, there's an interesting session I will visit, which is Child Neurology in Resource-Poor Settings, which is a joint session of the WFN and the International Child Neurology Association. And I'm looking very much forward to this session. So Wolfgang, thank you very much for joining that fourth day recap and being available to us. Wolfgang?
May I just say, excuse my outfit, I'm driving, or I'm being driven, and the message is interviews and recaps must be available everywhere at any time. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Wolfgang. Thank you also for being available. Although you have to rush in the car right now and being driven, we extensively appreciate that. And thank you also to our audience, which engaged very much also in the last days to our recap sessions. Please continue to do so. Please engage. Our hashtag is WCN 2021. So this was day 4. We are looking forward to day 5. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.